Hey guys, I'm Bulletproof Beauty and I still don't know what I'm doing on YouTube. So I wanted to do a video today about cleaning up my mess, and that's figurative but also literal. I don't know if you can see behind me very well, but it's a generalized mess in here. In fact, one thing that I can see that is not in the frame is that I have a very large pile of clothes over here and a very large pile of clothes over here, and then there's dirty clothes behind the camera. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to clean up my mess a little bit, and in the meantime I'm going to tell you about my mess. So in the upcoming weeks I want to do a series on ways that I'm cleaning up my life. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I feel generally unorganized and unsuccessful in a lot of ways. For example, I've been on YouTube now for several years. For a while, I did have a steady subscriber rate, and it dwindles, and then I get better about posting, and then it dwindles again, and I just am kind of in this vicious cycle where this is something that I want to do, and this is something that I want to be great at, and I have an audience that I want to reach out to because I feel like I have something to offer, and I'm just not doing that. On top of wanting to be successful in YouTube, other areas of my life have been largely unsuccessful as well. Something else that I'm trying really hard to work on is my body image and the way that I feel about myself, and generally just being healthy. So a couple years back, if you really search through my videos, the ones that I have posted and are not private, I used to go to the gym every day, and sometimes I would go for several hours at a time. I think that habit was unsustainable, primarily because at the point in time I started going to the gym all the time, I had just gotten out of a pretty bad relationship, and I'll talk about this person probably in another video someday. I felt like I was never going to be good enough, and at one point this person told me that I was overweight and he was losing attraction, and then I started going to the gym all the time, and suddenly I was spending too much time at the gym. In essence, I let this person basically make a lot of choices for me, and so at the point in time that I got out of that relationship, I was stressed and I hated myself, and I did a lot of things to change that, but I did it in a very unhealthy way. I went from about 190 pounds down to 120, and I did that in the course of like 4 months. So obviously I was doing things that weren't healthy for me. I had a nervous breakdown and I moved to California, and while I was there, I continued my gym habit in a more healthy way, but not completely stable. So I wasn't working out because I hated myself or because I wanted to make good habits. I was going to the gym because I had no friends and I lived there alone, and I had basically nothing better to do. When I moved home from California, after I had finally had enough and just couldn't be there anymore, I started to gain the weight back. I moved back into a household that they themselves were very unhealthy, and even though I really had nothing to do with their drama, it was just a toxic environment, and I was depressed again. I couldn't transfer my job, so I was having trouble finding a new job. I went unemployed for a while. I had to borrow some money that I'm like really not proud of, and I just got stuck. So here we are 3 years later. will have officially been home for 4 years in the spring of 2021, and I'm back in a place where I just I hate my body. I do, I hate it. And right now you'll see that I'm wearing this massive t-shirt. It's a 2XL in men's, and I obviously know that I'm not a 2XL, but I'm also not comfortable enough wearing clothes that are my size because of things like muffin top, or I know that my belly is hanging over my pants a little bit, and comparing myself now to where I used to be, I'm just not comfortable with who I am, and I'm not comfortable wearing clothes that are a little more fitted. Right now I have an entire closet full of really nice business casual clothes, some cute tops, I have dresses, I have things that in the upcoming months you will probably never see me wear, again, because I just don't love my body. That's one topic that I want to talk about. The other one, again, I mentioned earlier, is money. Money is something that I've been bad with almost my entire life. I had an interesting childhood in that half of my life was, you know, middle class, well off. I didn't really want for anything, but half of my life was also lower class and below the poverty line, and that's a strange concept, and again, another story for a different video, but I really kind of knew what both worlds were like. I found out later that a lot of things were done with credit in both households. I saw what it was like to have to pawn an entire DVD collection to make sure that the rent was paid, but I saw how easy it was to just swipe a credit card every time that you went shopping. Now, as an adult, I definitely fell into the money trap that comes with going to college. There's this preconceived notion that you just can't do college without loans. And in a lot of ways, that's true. Our system is just incredibly broken, and there's not a lot we can do about it. But as someone who had no knowledge on how to work with money, I took out as many loans as possible, and I was still working, and I still had nickels and dimes at the end of the day. I would get paid, and that paycheck was essentially gone before I even got it. When I lived in California, I was in a similar situation. I did have what was at the time considered a well-paying job. I made a little over $17 an hour, and I made that in retail. So I was doing well for what it was, but I paid for a studio apartment that was an hour away from my job, and it was only $400, but I made about $400 a week, and on top of gas and groceries and utilities and phone and, you know, all of these things that we use to survive, I was living below the poverty line, and I wasn't spending money on anything extra. I did have to purchase nice clothes because it was required for the brand that I worked for. But really, at the end of the day, I lived in a really, really bad area of town, and a lot of times I was paying for like cheeseburgers and gas with pennies, and I hated that feeling. Again, another story for a different video. I'll have to talk about my experience in California and how that really affected who I am as a person. At the end of the day, I'm still struggling with money. I've never learned how to solve this problem. But with that in mind, I just really want to work on who I am as a person. I want to share my life with you guys. I want to improve the quality of my videos and not just film on an iPhone. I want to love my body again. I want to wake up in the morning and be excited to come in my office and work and not be overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of mess that I have here. I want to solve my financial issues and not be $100,000 in debt, and I want to buy my own house and pay off my car and be able to have kids someday, and I just don't feel like where I'm at right now that's possible. How am I going to raise a baby if I got paid yesterday and I have $45 left in my bank account? These are serious issues in my life, and so I know that this is a more serious video, but I just want to share this journey with you guys. I hate when people say journey, because life is life and you just keep going no matter what. That's such a cliche term, but like, I have a process and I have a plan, kind of, and like, I just want to share this with the world and let other people know that if this is something that you're going through, like, you're not alone. My entire life is a fucking wreck right now, and apart from my relationship, I feel largely unhappy. Again, you'll notice the mess, and a lot of you might be familiar with the fact that messes like these come from depression. Depression is something that I've been diagnosed with, but on top of that, I'm bipolar. And so I really go through periods of time where I just don't function as a human. And for the most part, I can keep up a facade and pretend like everything is okay, but behind closed doors, messes like this happen. So I can put on makeup and go to supper with my boyfriend's family, and they would have no idea that when we come home, I'm overwhelmed by this mess, and he's overwhelmed by this mess, and then he's overwhelmed that I'm overwhelmed. And so it just creates this vicious cycle. And then because I have this mess, I have piles of paper that need to be gone through, and then I end up wasting entire days at a time just trying to figure it out. So what are we gonna do with all of this information? Well, right now I have to finish cleaning this up before I start work today. I've got about 15 minutes, and I don't know that I will get through it completely, but I at least want to be able to sit at my desk and do my job today. So the last thing that I want to work on is just cleaning up myself organizationally. I, for the most part, am really organized, but I feel like I have just a lot of stuff. And I don't necessarily love the way that it's displayed. For example, I have this bookcase full of shoes, and I would love for that to be beautiful, but one, it doesn't match the furniture that's in here, and I really hate that. But two, I have this bookcase that has no shelves in it right there, and you'll see those few little things are where I keep the supplies for the business that I'm creating. I have 2 external hard drives and 2 Google Drives and the cloud, and then my phone and my tablet that have things like photos and documents on it, and half of it I don't even need anymore. And so I'm working on putting, all of the photos in photo books and organizing them and putting them in the right order. And if there's photos of members of my family that I want them to have, then I am going to make photo books for them as well. I just feel like these things are important, but it feels cluttered in my brain knowing that I have them just everywhere. So again, in the upcoming weeks, I'm going to do a bunch of videos on just cleaning all of this stuff up, and I hope in the meantime that you guys find the content interesting and that you're excited about it and it inspires you to do something for yourself as well. One of my biggest YouTube inspirations is Kaylin Nicholson. She's a Canadian vlogger and YouTuber, and her videos are beautiful and soft and gentle, and she talks about cleaning up her life as well and staying organized, but it just like flows really well, and you get excited to watch it, and you want to get like your cup of coffee and put some socks on and do the same things that she does. My intent is to release videos about money on Mondays, and then on Fridays I'll release content that's a little bit more interesting, and then once I've kind of got the money process down, I'll likely move on to something different. You may notice that I'm also going to use my vlog channel. Right now it's got about 4 subscribers. It's really irrelevant, but I have, again, all of those videos that like I just don't want to go to waste, and I don't want to lose those memories. For a long time I was embarrassed to put stuff up on YouTube. I was embarrassed to release content because I wasn't good at it, and I didn't take into account that you kind of have to start somewhere. I would just really get shy and not want to show those videos. Other videos didn't get posted because I was just lazy and I didn't take care of it. I would film it, and then next thing you know, 3 months has gone by and I just never posted the video, and now it's no longer relevant. So if you're interested in checking those out, I'm going to put a link to subscribe to my vlog channel at the end of this video. So in the meantime, I'm going to work on cleaning up this mess and getting started with my work for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this little chit chat with me. I'm excited to share new content. I'm excited to show these things to you and be more consistent about posting, and I hope you guys are excited too. If you're ready for new content and are excited for my rebranding, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, click the notification bell, and subscribe. I'm excited to have you guys. I'm excited to grow this channel, and I will see you on Monday.